All right, we are very excited to be joined by Randall Park for the first time on the show. How's everything going? What's happening?
It's going good. I'm in Vancouver right now, working on a show called Blockbuster. It's about the
Right.
Blockbuster video store, and we're just having a lot of fun.
We will get to that because I want to ask you a Blockbuster question or two. As especially as 90s, we're 90s kids ourselves here, so we caught the tail end of Blockbuster. But let's talk about another Netflix thing: Human Resources spin-off workplace comedy set in the world of the monsters from Big Mouth, March 18th. I think anyone who knows Big Mouth, you don't really need to say much more than that. But what can you tell anyone who doesn't maybe know about this spinoff? Because trailer looks, as expected, hilarious.
Well, basically the show is about the monsters that we know from Big Mouth that kind of help guide the humans throughout their lives, and each monster kind of has a different a job. Like you have your hormone monsters, you have your love bugs, and they kind of, their realm is like matters of the heart, and then you have a character like me who's a logic rock, and my character is really about being logical, making sure that everything is organized and tidy, and yeah, it's basically about that. It's similar to Big Mouth in that it's hilarious, and but it's also it allows us to kind of delve into more adult themes.
You mentioned your character, the Logic Monster. If you've seen the trailer for this series, first thing your character says is, I feel like a very popular pet peeve of most people is standing up too early on an airplane. Or were there certain pet peeves that you wanted to work in for your character? Just like, oh man, I have. Like, it's almost like you get to be your character gets to be a soapbox, right, of things you hate.
Yeah, throughout the series, there's a lot of things that that I if I were to see in real life, I guess I'm similar to Pete in that. If I see them in real life, my first thought is, oh man, why are you doing that? You're wasting your time. You're not, you're just causing trouble for yourself. That's kind of what my character encapsulates. And there's definitely a lot of examples of that on the show.
You're I think an actor that's really good at adding comedy through your expressions as part of your delivery, right? Are you ever nervous in trusting that element of your performance to someone else, which in this case is an animator? Is that ever something that crosses your mind?
No, I haven't really thought about that too much. I think, I don't know. Especially for a show like Human Resources, just because I'm so familiar with Big Mouth, and I see how they somehow make it just work so well, and I think the voice is a big part of that, but also just the style of animation and the interactions between the characters, and because we've been in this pandemic, we haven't really been able to be in a room together and actually bounce off of each other. And one of my concerns was, oh gosh, we're just kind of recording on our own. How is it going to kind of fit together? But the folks behind the show, they just made it work almost seamlessly. You watch the show and it's like, gosh, it feels like we were in a room together. It feels like we were just having fun. I almost feel like I know these other actors really well, even though I never actually met them in person.
Yeah, that's actually a good segue into the next question, which was just this obviously an insanely talented cast of great comedic actors. But you look through it and beyond that, you'll see a Hugh Jackman on there. It's absolutely insane. How many people from the cast did you actually get to interact with while you're doing your recording process?
During the recording process, none really, outside of the table reads. We'd have these table reads and we'd see each other in boxes and get to kind of interact with each other, but it still felt a little distant. But again, it's a testament to Kelly and Mark and Jen and Nick Kroll. They really kind of made it work.
Mm-hmm. You're actually part of another animated ensemble cast that just added a new member, Strays. Obviously just added Isla Fisher. You got Will Ferrell in there, Jamie Foxx, Will Forte. Are you just like, you won't rest until you're part of every amazing animated ensemble cast that existed?
I don't know, man. I mean, I think it's just luck, man. These things come to me and I'm just every time just blown away. I'm like, oh, really? Me? This is crazy, you know? And I, you know, I'm like, how could I say no? I have to work with my idols, you know? But that one was cool because we actually got to spend some time in a room together recording and bouncing off of each other. And yeah, that one is really special.
Given because you've been in so much TV, movies, I'm going to give you a tough choice to make here. If you were given I guess the opportunity is the wrong word. If you were forced to pick only TV or movie ever again, what would you go with? What would you lean?
That's a tough one. That is a tough one.
You can do the best of each. Like you get the best of the best, but it's only one or the other.
I'd say TV. I think because I think TV in a lot of ways is especially nowadays it is the movies. You know, there's so many great filmmakers making TV right now, and because of like limited series and just the way streaming works, I feel like, you know, movies has kind of made its way into the TV realm. You know, so it's kind of like being able to do like a really great TV project. It's almost like doing a movie in a lot of ways. So I'd say that.
This is obviously a cartoon, so I got to ask you, what is it? What's your pantheon of cartoons? Do you have like what were your go-to ones maybe growing up, maybe over the years that you like the most? Like what are the ones that has always stuck out to you?
Oh gosh, that's a good one. I mean, The Simpsons, you know, I mean, that's kind of, you know, the typical answer. Bob's Burgers is one of my favorites. Gosh, there was one called The Life and Times of Tim. Do you remember that one? That one I really loved. Yeah, I'd say those three are kind of up there for me.
We have to ask you about another thing. We'll loop our way right back on over to human resources, though. But I know a lot of our audience members really, really loved you. Thought you were one of the highlights of the last Ant-Man movie. You're obviously both Marvel and DC at this point. But on the Marvel side, gotta ask, did you actually learn close-up magic?
You know, I learned very basic little things, and I had a tight timeline because I got out there to shoot it, and I met with I had a magic consultant kind of teaching me like very basic kind of tricks. I wouldn't even say tricks, more like little kind of flourishes that I could use. But no, I have not mastered close-up magic, but I hope to. I hope to, because during the process, I was like, oh man, this is fun. This is really.
What is a magic consultant? Do they look more like the traditional cartoony magicians, or like a David Copperfield? Like what does a magic consultant look like?
Yeah.
They look, I mean, my guy looked like just a regular dude, you know, like
no cape or anything.
He didn't come in a top hat or wearing a cape or anything like that. He was just the guy, you know, I think he had a Atlanta Braves ball cap. That's a cool guy.
Not quite the same.
No, just a cool dude, a down to earth guy.
I love that. Just thinking about that, like you had co-stars or whatever on that, where they're like, "Yeah, I'm working with this dialect coach." And like, "Yeah, I'm working with a magic consultant. I'm working with them every day. It's hard work."
Yeah, man. It's a weird job, man.
Did you ever get a sense, especially during the last Ant-Man movie, that one of the goals was to make them funnier than the rest of the MCU? Because they definitely are. They have a totally different vibe than the rest of these movies. I'm just curious if you ever got the sense of that on set.
Yeah, I did. It really felt like I don't know, just doing a great comedy film in a lot of ways. I think that's a testament to the writers and Peyton Reed, the director, and Paul Rudd. That's kind of in his wheelhouse, you know, and they made sure to keep it loose, to keep it real loose and fun, it was. It was really fun. A lot of that last scene with Paul Rudd in that movie. I mean, a lot of that was like improv, so it was like, I was just like, oh, gosh, I wonder if they're even going to use this. And like they used like most of it, so it was really cool.
The other thing that I kind of wanted to bring up here about Marvel, and you kind of mentioned it, you had to do it a little bit, it's just how TV kind of is movies now. And a great example of that was WandaVision, which you were in. What was for you like going from something like Ant-Man and Aquaman as well, but like going from that to something like WandaVision, which is still in the comic book world, but so different, like from your end, from someone in the show? What was it to you that kind of set that apart? Because it was a funny show as well, but there's no mistake. Like the difference between something like an Ant-Man and WandaVision, it was such a departure in a good way.
Yeah. I mean, man, Jeff, I didn't know what was going on when I went in there. I was just like, this is crazy. And this is like not this. It was such a big swing that and that excited me, but I really didn't know how. I knew it was going to turn out great because just the people involved were so great, but I didn't know how the audience would take it. And also, we weren't supposed to be the first Marvel Studios show. We were supposed to come later, but just because of the way the scheduling all worked out, we ended up being first. And I was like, oh no, the weird show is going to be first. I hope it doesn't, turn people off. I hope people like stick around after those first few episodes where it's just like sitcom stuff, and yeah, I was just like blown away by the response. It was crazy, but yeah, the whole time I was just like, this is crazy.
We got our screeners pretty late at night. I remember in the first episode, like the first moment where it kind of breaks.
Yeah.
Like it was like a little too late. I was like, oh, this is, I don't know if I like watching this late at night.
Yeah.
This is unexpected.
I mean, it really asked for, I mean, it asked something of the audience, it definitely did, especially, just at the beginning to really kind of lean in and really invest in those little kind of odd moments, and with the promise that this is going to pay off, so yeah, it was a great experience.
This is the part where we ask you the required question that we know you can't answer. We're gonna ask you anyway. Do you have anything you can tell us on either the next Ant-Man Quantumanium or Aquaman 2? Any updates there?
Oh man, I don't. My guess is that they're going to be awesome. I don't know if I'll be in.
Are you in Quantumania?
No. But I'm sure it's going to be awesome. But I can reveal that I am. Well, it's kind of already revealed. I am going to be in the next Aquaman, and I'm very excited about that.
I can only imagine. I mean, the first one was great, and now, I mean, anything James Wan related, pretty awesome. I want to talk about the thing you mentioned earlier, though, Blockbuster. Yeah. It's basically a workplace comedy, right? Just based around the last Blockbuster, right? The one, is it based on the one in Oregon?
It's loosely based.
Loosely, okay.
Based, yeah.
What was did you have a go-to Blockbuster rental? Like how laid on thick is the nostalgia? Because I would love to go to, obviously Oregon, a little out of the way. We live in New York, so you can't just stroll by. But like I've like watched like a documentary on it, and you're like, man, just to go in one again, it'd be kind of cool. Like I feel like the nostalgia. Does the set smell like a Blockbuster?
It is. I mean, the set is exactly like down to the smallest detail, like a Blockbuster video store. It's trippy. I mean, yeah, I still marvel at my workplace right now. It's just like, oh my God, this is like taking me back, and I was just looking at the other day, a wall of new releases, and you know how the wall of new releases would have a lot of the same titles kind of bunched up on a shelf, and I was just like, gosh, I totally remember that. It's so crazy,
Did you have one movie you'd always run to, like a go-to? For me, it was always Star Wars, like the original before the special editions came out on VHS. That would be my pick. Did you have one?
Gosh, I'm trying to remember back then. I mean, I loved rom-coms. I still love rom-coms. So I'm sure I rented When Harry Met Sally a bunch of times, amongst others. Indiana Jones. I just
You always you needed that panic pick, right? Where you're like, I gotta go. Like, I'm out of time,
exactly.
Right?
Exactly. And something, when you go to the new releases, if they, it wasn't unusual to have them all rented, so you kind of got to just go to the one, that you always rent. Yeah.
That's amazing. And now we can attribute to basically Blockbuster, Always Be My Maybe, more or less. Because that, I guess, inspires you to help co-write. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's right.
I have a really quick question about the interview. And it's, do you guys deserve royalties for basically, I would say, pioneering the big movie skipping theatrical release and going to digital? Because you guys were the first to do it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was the plan all along, really.
Yeah.
You should rewrite history and just say that.
Yes.
I know. Oh, my God. It's crazy because I'm out here in Vancouver, and that's where we shot the interview. And when I was out here, because ramping up to production, I had license to gain as much weight as possible. So I was just like eating everything in Vancouver, and like the food here is so good, so it's like I have such fond memories of this city that every time I'm up here, I just feel like this sense of euphoria. It's just like, but yeah, that whole experience was such a trip. But I'm proud of that movie. I love that movie. And I just have a lot of great memories.
I don't blame you at all.
When it comes up at like dinners and stuff, I think you should just say it was you. Be like, we were the first on that. We skipped 6 years ahead of time. No big deal.
Yeah, I'm going to use that from now on, Jeff, if you don't mind.
You get full credit. Yeah, full credit. We've been doing a new thing lately with with people we've been interviewing. We have another show that we break things down via a bracket. It's also the college basketball tournament, so we're going to do one for you here. Best Randall/Randys. So you're gonna have to decide. It's a bracket of just people named Randy or Randall. Gonna review them one by one. You got to pick the winner here. Here we go.
Gosh. Okay.
All right. The first matchup is Randy Newman against Randy Jackson. Better representation of Randy/Randalls. Who do you got between that matchup?
Gosh, I'd say Randy Newman.
You've got a friend in need just alone. Like I feel like,
gosh, yeah, that voice, that he's a legend. He's a legend.
Little sports matchup. Randy Moss, arguably best receiver of all time, and then Randy Johnson. Who I want to know, Randy Johnson, Kenjac, you like mentioning, he's a photographer now. He's not just
he's like a professional photographer,
fireball pitcher. He takes professional photos.
Oh wow,
better representation.
Gosh. The fact that you just dropped that on me, that this guy is multifaceted like that, I'm going to say Randy Johnson.
If Moss was taking photos, he might have won. Next one, Macho Man Randy Savage against another NFL legend, Randall Park.
Oh, man, that's a tough one. These are both like my childhood. I got to go with the Macho Man. Just because I was such a big WWF guy growing up.
So that could be a big second round matchup because you're here as the 2 seed and you're going up against the quote, "Do I make you Randy" by Austin Powers. What's the more?
That's actually a really tough one.
That's a tough matchup as a 7 seed.
Yeah.
That is, because it's a quote. You hit me with the quote. I thought it would be like just a person.
I want to know, 2 recent people have all advanced themselves to the finals. Jake Johnson and Josh Gad all put themselves in the finals. So you don't feel like you have to be humble here.
Yeah, you're not beholden.
All right. You know what? I'm going to say myself. Can
you take, and then this final 4, Randy Newman, Randy Johnson, Macho Man Randy Savage, and then yourself. Who is the best Randy? I kind of feel like it sounds like it's going to be, you may have to humble yourself and give Macho Man the title.
Yep, of course. Well, yeah, that one's a given. That's going to be a Macho Man for sure. Let's see this one. I'd say Newman.
And then a matchup everyone's always wanted: Randy Newman against Macho Man Randy Savage. Yeah,
I would love to watch this actual WWF match.
Yes, me too. Oh gosh, that's a really, really tough one. I mean, these are both icons of my upbringing. Gosh, guys, you're killing me.
Does Randy Newman like take a piano over the back of Macho Man? Like, how does that? Is that like?
Yes, I mean that's how he'd win. But can he lift a piano? I doubt it.
That's a good question. I don't know.
Randy Macho Man Savage can definitely lift a couple pianos. I gotta give it to the Macho Man.
Macho Man wins. All right.
Yeah.
Best Rand. That's a good representation of Randy/Randall. That's
yeah. All right. And one last thing we have, we call it a 6-pack. It's a 6-pack of rapid fire questions that you can answer for us. First one, who is the most influential comedian to you growing up?
Rapid fire. Probably Gary Shandling.
Great pick. I was just watching the Freaks and Geeks scene where one of them watches Gary Shandling. Awesome scene.
Oh my gosh. Yes. That one's classic.
What role do you get recognized for the most?
That's I'd probably say Asian Jim from The Office, oddly enough.
That was very funny role, but I knew it. We said earlier, he's gonna say, I know it. Just because of streaming, I knew it.
Yeah, it's really the power of The Office, I think. You know, that one scene I did is like something that so many people, remember me from.
Yeah, that's just The Office, man. If you could have book a starring role right now in any TV show, past or present, what would it be?
Monk. Oh, no, not Monk.
Tony Shalhoub fan. I love that.
Oh my gosh, I love Tony Shalhoub. It's a cross between Monk and Columbo, and they have similarities. They have similarities, but one of those.
Tony Shalhoub.
Never have expected that.
Not to give Tony Shalhoub free press, but he's an investor in an Italian restaurant in Manhattan called Resdora, which is like the greatest food I've ever had in my life.
Oh my gosh, I love. You know what? Then I'm gonna say Monk.
If you're in Manhattan, hit up Tony Shalhoub it is unbelievable.
That's so cool. That is cool. You're hitting me with the.
He wasn't there when I was there though. Recently, I was bummed out. I wanted to. I wanted to be eating my ravioli and see Tony.
Is he there sometimes?
Oh yeah, he's there like once or twice a week. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Imagine that going in to get pasta and he like greets you at the door. He's like the matron or man. Is there a role that you auditioned for, really, really wanted, but didn't get?
Like half the roles I've auditioned for. Gosh. I auditioned for Harold and Kumar. Pretty early in my career, and I went in a ton of times, and I worked with the director, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get this. This is an incredible project. And then I found out that it was essentially written for John Cho, and they were probably just like auditioning backups, so it wasn't mine to begin with, but that was one that that was just the project that I was just like, it's so cool.
Yeah, unbelievable. We had Jake Johnson the other day tell us he almost had the role of Chris Pratt in Parks and Rec. And
I believe that. I believe that.
You get the green light right now to make a comedy movie, anything you want, with an unlimited budget. What director and 2 co-stars do you pick for yourself?
Oh my gosh. I would say, that's a good one. Well, Scorsese, the great
king of comedy too.
Yes, Scorsese. You got to go with De Niro if you're going to go with Scorsese, right? And then this would be cool. Diane Keaton.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, Diane Keaton, De Niro, Scorsese, and me. I don't know what the would be.
You just shaking the hand of De Niro, Keaton, and be like, and sort of like, "Hey, welcome to my movie. Thank you."
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Now for the last question. It's the hardest one.
Oh gosh, all of these are hard. Okay.
People have DNF'd this. They told us they don't feel comfortable asking it or answering it. So, what's your favorite chain restaurant?
Oh gosh, that is really hard. My favorite chain restaurant, probably the Cheesecake Factory.
Wow, such a big menu.
Yeah, I love a big menu. I love a big menu.
They when they changed their menu and they took out like the 70 pages of advertisements in between every page, right. They thought it was a good thing. It was not. I missed that. I like that. I felt like I was holding a Harry Potter novel to order a salad.
The menu was a book.
Yeah, and to order like an 8,000 calorie salad somehow.
That's right. Like, is there cheesecake in the salad? Because it's but I don't know. It's comfort food for me.
Thank you so much. Human Resources, March 18th, and then we'll be very excited whenever we see Blockbuster stuff start hitting there. Good luck with filming that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. That was really fun. You guys have a good one.
Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Take care.